Well, as you guys already know, we haven't really done this all year long, so my bad, I apologize. So my plan today is we're headed to the shop. I just picked up a 1977 FLH Shovelhead that I'm going to be stripping down to the frame to get ready to chop. So that's the next build coming out of the Fast Life. We're doing a full hardtail, not period correct, but definitely old school style Fast Life version of a chopper. Hardtail, jockey shift, the whole nine. While I'm taking this bike apart, I want to tell you about the year. I want to tell you about Mama Tride, the 7th Fast Life Campout, the 7-week motorcycle trip I took on the FXR, and the lead up to Born Free Texas and how great that event was, and all the little things in between on today's vlog. So we'll see you guys at the shop. What's up guys, welcome back to the shop. We have a new project we're starting on today. It's a 1977 FLH Shovelhead. Picked it up about 2 weeks ago from a second owner of this bike. So this man's owned this bike for almost 25 years, I believe. Yeah, it's a little roached. It's not like a perfect build, but to be honest with you, the only thing I'm keeping off this particular bike is the motor, the transmission, and the frame. So most of everything on this bike is gonna be going away. All right, so let's get this thing up in the air and figure out what the first things are gonna have to be to come off. Never ever worked on a Shovelhead before. So if you see me do something stupid, I'm learning. I'm trying to figure this out. All right, let's go. So one of the first trips that I took this year was to Mama Tride in Milwaukee. Great time. It's one of my favorite events. Hopefully you guys at some point, if you haven't been, you make that a priority to go check that event out. The culture in Milwaukee around Harley Davidson, around just all the motorcycle culture up there, it's turned up to like level 10 during that time. The whole city seems to embrace the motorcycle culture, and man, I feel like, especially coming off the holidays, it's just one of the best times to go out, meet people, be a part of everything going on, and just get you a little amped and psyched for the next year of, you know, motorcycling and all that kind of stuff. So it's going down again this year in February. Don't know the exact dates. I'll put them down here. Definitely want to make it out to it. We'll be just walking around having fun, maybe taking some pictures, getting some more ideas for this build. As I stated, I'm still very much a student in this world, so I'm just kind of eyes wide open to everything I see and everything that kind of crosses my path. Definitely a great place to find inspiration is Mama Tride. And at the end of April has been our Fast Life Campout for the last 7 years. I kind of knew going into this year that I wanted it to be the last campout. 7 years was a great run. We had a great time. I met a lot of people that I'm very good friends with still to this day. It was an awesome experience to not only bring people together from across the country, but also just like personally like build something and watch it grow and watch it evolve. I enjoyed that process and that time that it took to do so. But I don't know, there's part of me that likes the idea that some things end. You know, when things like that end, you can kind of come back to the drawing board and start figuring out new things that you want to do and things that you're interested in. It was a very melancholy, is the best way I can describe it, time. We didn't do any giveaways. We didn't do any of the wild stuff that we had done in the past couple of years. It was a callback to the very beginning, the very first camp out, the vibes and how it felt. It's something that we can remember and look back on and, you know, start figuring out what's the next move, what's the next plans, what's the next, you know, what's next. I like the feeling of trying something new or evolving and getting out of your comfort zone, and hence what I'm working on here. I do hope to put together another event in the future that kind of, you know, embodies what the campout was, but also brings other elements that we kind of kept out of the campout, and try to do it in a harmonious way to make it feel fun and good and genuine and all that kind of stuff. Time spent on the road was needed. I wanted to get out. I wanted to experience the back roads. I wanted to slow down a little bit. I wanted to take pictures. I wanted to kind of create something off of this. But I did want to kind of give you guys a little quick rundown of what I did, and, you know, throw some of the footage over this and let you guys check it out. Going to be taking the FXR Chopper from here to Born Free, California, up the coast of Washington, Idaho, over through Montana, Glacier, to New York, and then turn around and going back to Sturgis. I will say that I got to ride with a lot of good friends that I've known for years, a lot of people that I met on this trip who have now become good friends, and I got a chance to sit down and do podcasts with a lot of people that are very inspiring to me. I really wanted to take this trip in order to scratch an itch. After having a lot of modern bikes over the last 8 years, the idea of doing something I love, like traveling on a motorcycle, on something with no gauges, with no amenities, with like a stripped down version, it became a challenge that I really wanted to go after. But overall, I am so glad I took the trip. It was a good chance to just really clear my mind and reset. And I set out to do something, I did it, and now I'm moved on to new things, and hence why we're building a real chopper now, or a real hardtail chopper. So after completing the trip, I got home and I knew that I wanted to find a new challenge. I wanted to kind of take what I just did on this FXR Chopper across the country to another level of hard. To me, it's like it forces you to ride the bike in a different manner. It forces you to take a different pace on a trip. And for me, those are the things that I'm kind of attracted to right now. Like a forced change, a forced redirection of how I go about traveling on motorcycles. And that's kind of what brings us into this build here that I'm starting on today. Now that I'm looking back at this trip, you know, a couple months later, it's something I'm very thankful that I got a chance to do. But I'm also, you know, really excited about all the ideas that came to my mind while I was riding across the country. And now I have the opportunity to get in the shop and get to work and start, you know, just doing new shit, new stuff, you know. So that's probably where I'm at now, is like on this stoke level of ready to work, ready to do some new builds, ready to get after some new things, get back into making videos, all kinds of stuff like that. Going into Born Free Texas, I wanted to bring the brand into doing vendor spaces and having a booth and starting to sell t-shirts. This is something that Britta and I kind of discussed off and on over the summer about bringing her on board, starting kind of a separate business, being able to sell prints of the photography, t-shirt, basically selling actual products. And that's kind of where she comes into play. And so Born Free was gonna be kind of our more or less coming out party to bring some merch, bring some prints, and set up the kind of space that we have together collectively always thought of doing for, you know, if we're gonna be a vendor for a place. And I'll be honest with you, like the vibe that was created at Born Free was just absolutely perfect. It's really satisfying when, you know, you had these conversations throughout, you know, weeks or months, and then when it finally happens, it was a lot, if not exactly the way you kind of planned it out. So my wife and I were very thrilled to go into Born Free Texas, create the space that we did, and very thankful for everybody that decided to make our booth in our area their hangout for the entire event. And that's what the whole point of our booth was. Jumping back to Born Free Texas right now, I just gotta give a shout out to Mike and Grant, Oliver and Audra from the Yellow Rose Canyon. That event this year was absolutely on point. It really had its own wings this year, I felt like. People came and they did what Born Free Texas is without like this preconceived notion of what California is and like the comparisons. It's just like they let Texas be Texas, and it was a good fucking time. Danger Dan had a really awesome art show, the prints, paints, and still, and I was pretty fortunate that Dan asked me to showcase some of the photography that I have been shooting over the last couple years in the event. We printed large scale, what I guess I would consider to be my first like series of printed images. The concept behind these images were, it's all from me on a bike shooting across at somebody else riding a bike. And there are a couple shots in there that are pretty sentimental to me. One being Josh Kerpius that I shot on my trip this summer I was just talking about. Like one of my favorite photos that I've ever like captured on a ride. Another one is of a good friend, Hans, who I shot moments, if not like an hour or so after meeting him at the FXR show in Sturgis a couple years back. He was a pick of mine for an award that we gave away for our favorite FXR, and Hans and I have been close friends ever since. Another one of my favorite images from that series was Rennie Easy Rider Cycle that I shot on the way to Born Free Texas last year while we were on the FXR tour. And you know, I've said it many times before in podcasts and in posts on social media, Rennie on his, you know, FXR Chopper that he built, it's so photogenic. I mean, I have hundreds of really cool shots of him. This one really stood out to me the most. It was cool to have all these different images on display at the Prince Paints and Steel thing. And so thank you again, Danger Dan, for inviting me. I really had a great time. You guys really should put that on the schedule for 2025. You're gonna find, you know, a lot of what Texas is about, the hospitality and the good vibes. You're gonna feel that at Born Free Texas. So make a plan, be there in 2025. Another really cool event that I just got finished doing was called the Beaver Bash. Some local guys here, Jason Ochoa and Justin Haynie from Denton, they invited me out to Broken Bow, Oklahoma, to this little kind of like invite only Airbnb house. I think there was like 30 of us total that were all sleeping there. Everybody was riding choppers. Honestly, while I'm sitting here with my hands draped over this bike, is just that event really was the final like push to make me really want to go forth into a chopper build. Being with these guys and watching them cruise around on, you know, shovels and panheads and knuckleheads, jockey shifting, hardtails, like just something about it just really resonated with me. I want that challenge. That's the only way I can describe it. There's something about being able to keep one of those bikes on the road, the way it makes you rethink how you travel on the bike. Like I said, that event was a great push to finally say, you know what, screw it, I'm doing a Shovelhead, and yes, I want to jockey shift it, and yes, I want to hardtail it, and I want to try to make it cool, but also look like it came from the Fast Life garage. And what that means, I have no clue yet. This build, this bike is going to be another one similar to the way the FXR was. Corey and I are going to be teaming up again to do this. I am looking forward to doing more of the fab work myself with obviously Corey's direction. We're going to basically turn this thing into another custom motorcycle. The goal right now, the finish date or the christening ride on this thing in a perfect world is going to be the El Diablo Run, which is, I think, is the beginning of May in, you know, California. It's starts at Biltwell and it goes down to, I think, San Felipe, I think is the place. And that's kind of the next push, the next goal, the next challenge for my brand right now. I'm nervous, but I'm also excited because it's all new. Everything here is new. I do appreciate you guys watching this video and I'm looking forward to getting back into doing this kind of stuff. So, you know, if you guys enjoy this, please don't hesitate to like it, subscribe to the channel, throw some words of encouragement down there in the comments. It really helps. And if you guys want to check out our podcast, you know, on this channel where you're watching this video, there are plenty of awesome podcasts in the motorcycle space. I guess that's going to wrap it up and we'll see you guys on the next one of these things. So, all right, peace.